Hey y'all, welcome to today's show. I hope you're all keeping safe and warm and have everything you need for a wonderful Christmas. Speaking of which, I'm not taking any further orders for the spoons and baskets I carve for Christmas gifts. I mean, obviously, this is Wednesday. I cannot guarantee that the U.S. Post Office is going to get them to anybody on time. So, my special I'm running on the newsletter. You buy at least a 1 month subscription. I send you 2 free ebooks. If you need a last minute gift, that's the one I would recommend. You can give somebody a subscription for $8 and they get $20 worth of free ebooks. You don't have to pay shipping, and I'm going to run that all the way through January 1. So, in case you forgot anybody on your list, I don't know. If you got Amazon Prime, you could probably still get one of my paperbacks from them, but I'm not guaranteeing any kind of shipping. I must have. Well, I stood in line a lot at the post office yesterday. No, let me think. It was Monday. Yeah, I stood in line a very long time at the post office Monday, getting that last gift item out to a lady who needed some spoons as a Christmas gift. And I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, as promised, I'm going to start the series on the medicinal uses of trees today. Now, this one will spend a couple of months on, probably 2-3 months. This, to me, is really the essential starting place for herbal medicine. You know, people think herbs, they think a lot of little green things. I mean, they're thinking everything from mints to, oh, I don't even know what everybody thinks of herbs. I mean, for me, it's going to start with dandelions and plantains and such as that. But for most people, that's as far as they go with their thinking about herbal medicine. They never think that trees have medicinal uses. Well, here's the thing. As preppers, I would definitely start with trees because they tend to be fairly powerful herbal medicine and they're easy to identify. They're all around us, whether they're on your own property or in a city park or a state forest or just, I mean, anywhere you spot some woods, you're looking at a medicine cabinet. Easy to identify. Trees are actually more easy to use than most, many, I would say, herbal medicine formulas and preparations. And, no matter where you are, if you learn to identify the basic trees of that region, no matter what happens, you're going to have the medicine you need at hand. I mean, I really think, especially as preppers, we should start with the medicinal uses of trees. I mean, for obvious reasons. If you were, lost in the woods, if you know the trees around you, well, some of them have food value as well. I mean, many parts of a pine tree, for instance, are edible, but all of them have medicinal value. So, really good thing to prioritize. And of course, wood for food, fuel and shelter, and everything you can use wood for. We should always pay attention to the woods around us. So let's start with, we're going to go in alphabetical order. And this one is one of the more powerful, actually. It's Abies. That's the fir family of trees. Only the Fraser fir grows in my region, and it's been brought in to grow Christmas trees with, for growing Christmas trees. Really, this is more of a northern tree. Now, most, don't worry if you live in the southern part of the country and you don't have access to fir, because there's several other trees that are going to be really interchangeable. We do have plenty of spruce. Spruce is very similar, and certainly pines. Pines are very similar. Really, a lot of the evergreens, but fir is particularly potent. And actually, this is one that could save your life. So let's just run through the 24 varieties of Abies or fir used medicinally. Abies alba, that's silver fir. I'm not going to give you all the Latin names. We're going to do silver fir, red fir, balsam fir. That's another one that's grown around here for Christmas wreaths and such. It's very wonderfully scented, Grecian fir, Colorado fir, Momi fir, I guess. Fraser fir. I don't know how to pronounce all these, so I'll probably skip around a little bit. Californian red fir, Caucasian fir. I guess it doesn't mean it's white. It means it comes from the Caucasus. Let's see, West Himalayan fir, Oh, sacred fir. Wonder why the guy has that name. I don't know. Maybe it was using incense. Probably was. Siberian fir, Himalayan fir, flaky fir, and vetch fir, interestingly enough. So, as I said, we got mostly Fraser for Christmas trees, and some people do grow some balsam, I believe. But the needles, resin, bark, and branches are all used in herbal medicine. Uh, the tree grows in only 9 counties in North Carolina and has been planted in 2 each in Virginia and Tennessee, and only 1 county in Georgia. So if you're any further north and you live in the South, you're out of luck on this one. But we'll get into, well, heck, you probably have one in your house right now. Actually, this is perfectly appropriate for the last show before Christmas, isn't it? Because after you're through with your Christmas tree, if you keep it nice and fresh, keep some water in the base under the tree, and actually, if you add a couple of vitamin C and some aspirin in there, it'll keep the tree a little fresher and healthier longer. That's just a Christmas tree grower's trick. Bottom line is, when you're through using that tree for your Christmas decorations, you can cut it up and keep parts of it to use for medicine. All those needles that are always falling off, just keep them clean, and you'll have plenty of the needle tea. You'll have plenty of the resin from it. The way a Christmas tree produces a lot of resin, they're pretty darn sticky. Yeah, all of it. The bark, yeah. I did not even plan this. How perfect is that? I don't believe there's any such thing as coincidence. The primary medical use of fir is as an astringent. As such, it is extremely useful because it both tightens tissue and increases blood flow. That's very important. Those two specific qualities can actually save your life. We'll discuss the astringency of several trees, but this is one that's particularly effective against anything from sore throats to dysentery, especially when there's danger of the tissue becoming boggy. In cases of severe, chronic, or intense inflammation, the inflamed tissue can suffer serious damage. Boggy tissue occurs when the tissue loses its tone. It often develops a purplish hue and loses its ability to tighten back up. It's flaccid and filled with fluid. When this happens, for instance, in the throat, the results can be deadly. You can choke on your own throat. You could suffocate to death. So when I say this tree could actually save your life, I mean this tree could actually save your life. The astringency of this tree not only tightens the tissue and reduces swelling, but its ability to increase blood circulation to the affected area both helps transport the fluid away from the site of inflammation and speeds healing. Obviously, this is going to have so many uses, from arthritis to sprained ankles to anything. I mean, really. The until modern taxonomy, Abies was often included under pine. And, that's why I'm going to say, if you don't have fir in your area, don't worry. Pine is very similar in probably 99% of the uses of fir. And if you're in the South, you got plenty of pine. I mean, that's one thing we do not lack in the South is pine. From, North Carolina to Texas, we got more pines than you can shake a stick at. All right, so Dioscorides, the ancient Greek herbalist, said, moist resin also comes out of the pine and pitch tree, brought from, well, you don't need to know about all the history of how they got it to ancient Greece. He said it was particularly good taken in a syrup for lasting coughs. They are also different in color, for one is white and the other of oil color, and one looks like honey, such as that of the larch tree. Larch is another one that can be used interchangeably. Moist resin also comes out of the cypress tree, good for the same purposes. So if you live in Florida and the bayous of Louisiana, you're set. Of that which is dry, there is some called strobolina from, that's actually from pine cones. They grow a lot of pine nuts and such in that part of the world. So he just went through a whole bunch of them. He says those of the pitch tree and the fir tree excel, and the fir is what he's talking about, Abies, for they have the sweet smell and resemble frankincense in their odor. The best are brought from Spain, etc. That frankincense was, of course, one of the gifts given to the Christ child, and it wasn't just because it was a nice smelling incense, which it really is. If you've ever gone to a Catholic church or an Anglican church, you probably smelled that incense of frankincense and myrrh before. Also, antibacterial, good against infections and parasites. So would have been, and for dental health actually, would have been incredibly valuable medicinally. Around 1100 or so, St. Hildegard von Bingen, probably the greatest herbalist of all time, really the founder of the Germans folk school tradition, said of fir specifically, when the tree is green and has not yet lost its sap, as in March or May, take the bark and leaves off the tree, and even some of its wood, and cut it into tiny bits. Add half as much sage, and then boil until it thickens. Add cow's butter, and strain it through a cloth, making an ointment. If someone ails in his head, uh, and she used a term a lot called Vergiftet, which is Old German for basically what we call in the South stoved up. It can be anything from paralysis to like really crippling arthritis. Anything, just a lot of stiffness and weakness and even palsy. She would use this as an ointment. She would use it as an ointment over the heart for chest pains and weak heart, for headaches. She said, anoint the head with some of the ointment. And by the second or third day, the head will recover its health and he will return to his senses. So, you're talking to someone who's probably got some, maybe some serious inner ear pressure or serious, So anyway, if someone ails in his spleen, first anoint his heart with this ointment because of the weakness of the heart. Soon afterward, anoint his stomach, if that is where the pain is, or his spleen, if he is ailing there. The ointment will pass through the skin with its strength, and he'll be cured quickly. It's that increasing the circulation. Remember what I said, that's the quality. I mean, she speaks in a very old way from 1100 AD, But think of it, for the next use, you'll understand this. For one who is congested in his chest, who coughs, and who ails in his lungs so they are swollen, use that same ointment on the chest. Well, that's the way we use Vicks Vapor Rub, right? I mean, it's sort of that camphorous type of quality. And she also recommended using the ashes of the plant and all that. And cooked the wood, actually twigs of it, cooked in honey and wine as a good throat and chest remedy. It would purge the chest, restore the lungs to health, and therefore cure the person. We'll get into 1500s England. Bear with me on the Elizabethan English for just a second. John Gerard said the liquid resin of the fir tree called turpentine, well, now we get our turpentine from pines, but in 1500s England it was fir resin, looseth the belly, driveth forth hot choleric humours, cleanseth and mundifieth the kidneys, provoke urine, and driveth forth the stone and gravel. Another property of fir is that it is diuretic and it can help get rid of bladder and kidney stones. He said the same taken with sugar and the powder of nutmeg cureth the strangury, stayeth the gonorrhea and the involuntary issue of man's nature, called the running of the reins, and the white flux in women. So here we're talking about everything from a venereal disease to the reins as kidney problems, some issues with the semen, and a vaginal discharge. So, like I said, it's astringent. It tightens the tissue. So anything that's kind of leaky on the body, in other words. It's very profitable for all green and fresh wounds, especially wounds of the head, for it healeth and cleanseth mightily, especially if it be washed in plantain water, and afterwards rose water. And they also use mastic and such, which we can't really get anymore, and a little saffron. But anyway, it does have some very good antibacterial, antimicrobial properties. Very good for helping disinfect wounds. About 100 years later, Culpeper wrote of it. He gives a long description of the plant, but we now have the internet. If you don't know what a fir tree looks like, and you don't know what a Christmas tree looks like, which is a fir tree, look it up online. He said it's, of course, a bitterish taste. It is bitter, which makes it good for the stomach, by the way, and a pleasant smell, and a little like a lemon peel. That's actually the volatile oils, and I kind of know what he means when he says that. We often really our Christmas traditions include citrus with our